for the Pledge of Allegiance. Flag of the United States. All right, this is the November 12th, 2025 Planning and Zoning Commission. I guess I'll take roll since our secretary isn't here. Paul Moran, no. Jeff Moore?
Here.
Lisa Shearing?
Yes.
Brian Nolan?
Here.
Online, okay. Jeff Hunt?
Here.
Jack Shelton?
Here.
Matt Foreman?
Here.
I think that's it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that makes quorum? Yes. Okay, well, 7 is quorum. Okay, next order of business is to approve the agenda by acclamation. Anybody have any issues or all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Seeing none. Okay. Approval of the minutes from the October 8th Planning and Zoning Commission. Also by acclamation. Did anybody need to make any changes? So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none. And then approval of the minutes of the October 29th Site Plan Committee. Vote by proclamation. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Opposed? All right, seeing none. All right. Citizen comments. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to address the board on something that's not on the agenda? One online in the room, okay. Old business. Case 25-012, the conditional use permit for KinderCare Child Daycare Facility at 8109 to 8111 Manchester Road. Is the petitioner here? Please state your name and.
Sorry, Brett Dahlman with Quattro Development. I'm their Director of Construction and Development.
Okay. Yeah, we went over this in great depth in the site plan committee. Has there been any changes, I guess, from then or present any new information other than from your end? I think we just had some traffic stuff and.
I believe everything was
Yeah.
accounted for, that was
Okay.
commented on.
Yeah, and then Lee, did you have some traffic stuff that came up or that we finalized since the site plan meeting that you would like to address the commission about as far as? Well, yeah, okay.
The entire Planning and Zoning Commission wasn't in attendance that evening.
Right.
So for the record, Lee Cannon, PE with CBB Traffic Engineers, 1400 Olive Boulevard, Suite 430, 63146. We are the traffic engineer for the city, so this work was done on behalf of the city, guided by Ms. Kelly through planning and development. We were asked to do two things, look at parking and traffic. Short story on parking is that 38 spaces as proposed on the site will be adequate. If you'd like more details, I can get into it. With respect to traffic, this site doesn't generally generate a whole lot of traffic. It's a daycare, not a school, so the pattern is a little less pronounced than you would see at a school with, first bell, last bell, arrival, dismissal. So these are smaller children. Generally, the parent pulls into the lot and parks, walks their child in the evening, walks into the school, gets her child, puts them in the car, and then leaves. However, it's very difficult to turn left onto Manchester Road, especially in the evening, in the afternoon. The level of service that we talk about, the operational capacity graded like your report card A through F, where engineers say that D is okay in the peak hour, even though a D on your report card at home probably wouldn't have been good. Existing traffic for just a handful of cars trying to turn left without looking at the daycare is already an F for Porter southbound. So the reasonable approach that we came up with and was talked through at the site plan review was to post a restriction for no left turn traffic from Porter to Manchester in the afternoon, evening timeframe. So that could be 4 to 6. We could talk about what those hours need to be. But that could be a sign posted. So everybody that leaves the site would have to turn right in the evening. It works just fine in the morning and throughout the rest of the day. But in the evening, when that PM rush hour is happening on Manchester, everybody turn right. And the city's small enough to where, you know, people would use a different route to get where they're going. If they have to go over to Brentwood and then, you know, make a route back if they live to the east. So that was the one primary thing that we came up with. Another issue was a lot of discussion was had, and he's not here this evening, a discussion about the neighbors, you know, and the impact on the neighbors. And one of the thoughts was, you know, no left turn out of the site driveway on Porter, and whether that was too much restriction on people that might have kids that go to the daycare and want to go back to their house, versus, you know, they could turn right onto Manchester and then right into one of the other streets, come back up into that neighborhood. So that's one thing I don't think that kind of got fully ironed out as to whether or not that was the right thing to do or not. I think that's the primary issues that were talked about in site plan.
Yes, the discussion largely on limiting the local traffic only for left turn out of the site onto Porter. The developer would work with the city on providing that kind of traffic. That would take a separate ordinance at a future date. And limiting as part of the conditions within the staff report, it does include that traffic sign for local traffic only northbound on Porter, as well as limiting left turns onto Manchester Road during PM peak hours of 4 to 6 is what we discussed at the site plan subcommittee. Additionally, there was a discussion on needing to adjust the landscape plan that was submitted, adding additional landscaping on the west side where adjacent to residential, and then opening it up along Manchester for the visibility of the entrance element that was added to be consistent with the zoning code. Lee is here. He provided a review of the revised landscape plan. Andy, I'm sorry.
Wait, did you turn your mic on?
Yes, my mic is on. Andy is here, and he reviewed that landscape plan, and the report is in the packet. So if he could come up and...
I have questions for Lee still. Because I was in the Zoom meeting for the site plan. Unfortunately, my audio wasn't working, so I was limited to messaging. So I understand the left turn. Can you explain a little bit more where you said the developer had committed to something in the future about traffic? Was that only the sign, or what was that discussion?
No, he didn't commit. It's just the city would have to do an ordinance restricting left local traffic only on northbound Porter, and that we could look at. So that would be done.
So it's two different places.
Right.
So my recommendations were at Porter and Manchester, no left in the PM peak. But the other recommendation or consideration, if you will, is because there's nowhere to go, you can't get to Hanley or Brentwood or other, you can only get back to Manchester if you turn out left on Porter and go north. We probably shouldn't allow the non-local traffic. I think the discussion of the developer work with the city, we don't know if people are going to try that or not. So if it's not a problem, we don't have to deal with it. If it is a problem, we do need to deal with it. I think that's the answer.
That would have to-
No, only local traffic going up the hill to Porter. Honestly, I think the biggest deterrent is going to be how just that hill is so steep. That's going to be the deterrent for people to go up there. My question I couldn't get asked in the last one, you actually raised the point, Whitney, in the meeting of people just popping across Porter into the retail development and then going to one of those curb cuts and then trying to turn left.
And it's still going to be just as difficult to turn left on a Manchester from those spots. I think that they'll learn it's just best not to try in the PM peak hour. If it does become an issue, there's a lot of different ordinances you can try. It's hard to control the people that will just do wild things, but there's such a sign, illegal to cut through private property to avoid the signal, and how do we word what that says? And if it becomes a problem, I think we should address it. I don't think a whole lot of people will try it, and once they try it, they'll realize it's probably not worth it.
So I'm a little skeptical of the wait and see approach, but I understand where you're going. I do think for staff and for the board that this is revealing a weakness in our urban plan for this stretch on the north side of Manchester Road, that although this is the first one and this is probably the deepest lot that's existing by far, that it could be in the future, people are buying up a couple of residential homes and doing a big development on Manchester on the north side, and we should be figuring out some strategic ways to address the traffic onto either the side streets or Manchester Road a little more proactively in our future plan.
And if you have a master development plan or a master development concept or idea, whatever level it's at, I would call that an access management plan for where you intend to allow major access points on the north and south side of the road. They should align, and they should provide connections in between them. And so let's just say that there might be one or possibly two additional traffic signals at some point in the future along Manchester Road that are well thought out, that land along existing public streets on the north side, because those residential properties are going to remain. And then they also serve the south side, but they're spaced correctly so that they don't interfere with the the Brentwood and Hanley intersections. But thinking through that, which we did some of as part of I'm not sure what we called it, the Manchester Road enhancements that was added on top of the MoDOT
Correct.
reconstruction. So we kind of did some, but that was geared towards existing properties. So we looked at access management for that, and the existing properties and developments, they didn't really want to give away their access and share and combine. But redevelopment opportunities allow for those things to be implemented over time.
And this, to your prior point, being a daycare, not a school, I'm still a little skeptical that one 2-lane driveway in those hours where there's pickup and drop off and typical parking, still a little skeptical that they're gonna get a little busy in that parking lot and the turning in and out. But
I just want to clarify. So there was some traffic review when we went through the RFP, as well as selecting Green Street Halo as the master redevelopment area, developer, sorry, master developer. Those future traffic improvements would come at a future date when the larger area, when we would get into the site plan review for the larger area. And once we get those done, there was never, part of the redevelopment area never included taking any residential properties on the north side.
I understand that, and there's grade challenges. The south side, we can do internal circulation between those access points. We don't have that luxury on the north side.
Correct. Where we tried to get cross-access, if you remember, like the Bitcoin CUP, where they already had a driveway done, we required cross-access. However, this site, as we discussed at the last meeting, is very difficult and can't really provide that cross-access due to the adjacency to residential. I've included as a condition that the traffic sign for local traffic only will be added. My comment was that once we get this underway, or once they receive approval and construction is banned, the city would still have to come back through with an ordinance for designating those streets as local traffic and providing for that sign, because we can't enforce it if we don't have it as within the ordinance. So that's why I've included it here, and my comment was that we would have to come back at a later date to have that ordinance, but that's only once, or if the Board of Aldermen, we get a positive recommendation from you, and it moves on to the Board of Aldermen, and they also approve it.
I'm curious on the retail development, does it have a no left turn restriction?
Not that I'm aware of.
Kind of thought so, but yeah.
I did want to address, you mentioned that site seems sort of busy, right? For, at pickup or drop-off time, even though it's not a school. The current counts on Porter in two directions at that south driveway.
No, I meant internal to
Yes.
their parking lot.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Like the people getting in, trying to get a parking space while the other ones are coming out with their kids. Porter's not that busy.
Yep. Yep. And they could do some things, with radiuses and such to make it smoother, so that traffic can flow in a little easier. That'd be really up to them to, to consider. Yeah, I'm not too concerned about their levels of traffic and interactions in the parking lot.
Balance to this is clearly the KinderCare is a rollout design. You probably use this exact same footprint nationally in a bunch of different markets. You guys know your traffic, you guys know your parking lots. You've probably got exactly the same parking lot in 20 different locations. So deferring to that expertise, you also don't want to I'm assuming you don't want to design a parking lot that's a deterrent to your customers. Excuse me. So, although I had my doubts, I'm sure that internal circulation you guys have as a well-oiled machine is part of your rollout packages.
Another thing strategically, as far as operations go, that they can do is, they could identify, like, for instance, the parking stalls closest to the driveway, right where it connects Porter. If you're pulling in and out of those, it may be more disruptive to entry and exit. Well, they could use those for staff parking, and then they're not rolling over during peak arrivals. So there's some of those types of things that they could implement to make inbound and outbound parent flow smoother. So, but again, I'll leave that on them to operate their site, right?
I think they want to say something.
Joel Oliver, Halo, 900 North Rock Hill, the master developer working with Quattro on this. Just one nit thing and one clarification. So Mike Haig who was at the previous two meetings from Quattro. Both us and Quattro are totally on board with what Whitney said as far as restricting the left. My only nit comment would be that that's Monday through Friday. I think, there was some comment at the last meeting, we want to restrict that on Saturdays and Sundays when they're not open. So just to make sure that's clear when it goes to the Board of Aldermen. And then they were completely on board with the local traffic only on Porter. We were under the understanding that was going to be a condition of the approval. So, and you're right, as we're looking at the master plan and what's happening big picture here, this is a very unusual lot on the north side. It's the deepest. It's got the most issues with the grade change. So, thankfully, we're thankful that it's one condition in this spot. So I think we're aligned with staff and with Lee on those two recommendations. So cool, thanks.
Whitney, you said we had some landscaping changes, or, yeah, go ahead, Andy.
Good evening. My name's Andy Frankie. I'm a landscape architect with Planning Design Studio. We're the city's on-call landscape architect. We've kind of been adding to the bottom of this memo as we've gone through with multiple kind of revisions or things that come up. The latest are from the site plan subcommittee meeting. There were 4 items that the petitioner has, or 3 actually, that the petitioner has agreed to, and we're satisfied with their solutions. The first one was shifting some trees that were on Manchester Road. They wanted to switch them around the corner to the west side of the property, and the petitioner did that. The second one was to provide more planting along the western edge to buffer the property, specifically along the northwest corner. And they put a lot of plants along that buffer, so we were satisfied with that. And they provided a color for the 6-foot site-proof fence along the residential properties. It's going to be dark brown to blend with the landscape. So they've satisfied all the conditions, and so we're happy and looking forward to seeing them get rolling.
Foreman?
So the site-proof fence is the one that's required between commercial and residential at the
That's right.
property line.
That's right.
We have a 23-foot retaining wall. Is there an expectation for a safety barrier fence?
There
at
is.
the top of the wall?
There is, and they are showing that. It'd be a 4-foot aluminum slatted fence, aluminum open design fence,
So pickets, did color black,
It's black.
black,
make it disappear.
yeah.
That's right. Yeah, that's along the sides, like along Porter, where that retaining wall starts to get tall and as the lot goes back in to the north.
The only other nitpicky bit on that would be maybe considering at some point on the east and some point on the west, connecting the safety fence to the site barrier fence, just to keep people out of getting up there. Landscapers are gonna have to get in and out, but
Yeah, let's hope not.
the other comment that I had during the meeting that I wasn't able to articulate very well, there was a little bit of discussion, bridging from the landscape, the wall is kind of the gray area between the architectural improvements and the big
Right.
landscape wall. There was some discussion of materiality, cast-in-place concrete, engineered concrete block, form liners. Did that get settled?
It did. They selected a what's called a big block style wall that has it's rusticated, so it's kind of looks like natural rock in effect. And a similar block was used on the tunnel, on the Brentwood tunnel. If you've walked through that, it's kind of a similar material and style.
It looks like the big Duplo blocks with the two cones on top and they stack.
Yeah, but the face of it looks like it's rough cut stone. So
Natural Portland, or is there any color being added, or?
we didn't see any color that was being added. It was pretty much a gray material.
I believe they have a number of different color patterns that you can choose. They all look the same, only a different shade of gray or brown, whatever it might be.
So it's in the staff report, I've included the image. It's called a limestone face block rather than the poured concrete.
Updated staff report, thank you.
Anybody else have any discussion? Anyone online?
Just to clarify, because the comment, I think you addressed the comment I had where between the first round and the second round of the submittal, you added the portico, the roof element on the south,
Correct.
but then all the landscaping went in front of it. That's what we were trying to open up that view.
Yeah, I don't remember if it was the second or third submittal, the landscape was actually kind of not right around that structure. We asked them to make it right. But your comment, I think specifically, there were some of the trees and stuff moved around from the front of Manchester Road to the side.
It was all in front of that
Yeah.
facade element and
The
blocking the
portico.
signage.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that all got moved around.
Yeah, that was the markup comment.
The only landscape plant in front of that, or plants in front of that portico are kind of low, small shrubs, just bait, like foundation plantings.
Good. All right, thank you.
Welcome.
Anyone else? Do you have anything to add? Or no?
I don't think so. Anything on your
Do
end?
we have a motion?
Recommend approval of the conditional use permit and site development plans for kinder care daycare facility
8109 to 81111 Manchester Road, subject to the conditions. I guess we need to.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Jeff Hunt. Okay, we'll take a vote. Jeff Moore,
Yes.
Lisa Shearing,
Yes.
Brian Nolan,
Yes.
Jeff Hunt,
Yes.
Jack Shelton,
Yes.
Matt Foreman.
Yes.
Believe the motion passes. Okay, thank you. And this will go before the Board of Aldermen?
Yeah, on December 1st for a public hearing at the Board of Aldermen.
Okay, thank you. Next order, new business, case number 25-15, conditional use permit for a T-Mobile retail store at 1201 Strassner Drive within the Hanley Station development. Is the petitioner here? Can you please state your name and your address, please?
My name is Zach Brown. I'm with Perspective Architecture out of Kansas City, and I'm representing T-Mobile.
Okay. Refresh my memory. He presents, and then we do the staff report?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure, so we're taking the existing building, the tenant shell that's been gutted for us to turn it into a T-Mobile. And we're taking the exterior, we're going to take off the awnings, the fabric awnings, and we're going to replace the front awning with a 8-inch metal awning tied back to structure. And the knee walls on the back patio that were previously designed for restaurant seating are going to be removed, along with the patio underneath it, and cut within 6 inches of the existing brick piers, like an apron, and sodded and graded down to the existing sidewalk to match the surrounding. And that's pretty much the only exterior work we're doing. Questions?
So these are the walls that are, okay, along Strassner, like on the corner there where the outdoor seating used to
Yes.
be for the restaurant, those
Yep.
brick walls. So you would take down those walls and you were going to sod it then, so it's just, you have
Yeah.
the sidewalk and the sod and then the front of the building?
Yep.
Okay, those walls there.
And yeah, the existing patio just isn't going to be used by T-Mobile, and the also the egress for the inside of the building doesn't require 4 exits, so we're planning on removing the 2 doors to the left and right sides of the image there, and going back in with mullions and glazing to match the adjacent construction. And yeah,
So would there be an entrance on the Strassner side, or is it going to be in the parking lot
it
side?
would be on the parking lot side
Parking
where
lot
people
side,
park to come
okay.
into the building, yes. Those, T-Mobile prefers one access point to their retail spaces. When there's multiple, it requires more attention. And we felt that the front door was actually facing the parking lot.
Right. Oh, yeah, staff report? Yeah, let's do the staff report.
Okay. So, as the applicant has indicated, they're taking up the former Twin Oaks Wood Fire restaurant space. The whole Hanley Station development was originally approved in 2004. That included sufficient parking, 126 spaces available within the parking garage for the restaurant and retail uses. This building specifically was initially shown as retail at that time. It then converted to a restaurant use, and so now they're taking it back to a retail use. The property is zoned urban development, where under section 400-1400, retail sales is listed as a conditional use, so that's why we're here tonight. They are also making the changes to the exterior, proposing the changes to the exterior of the building. They are showing 4 signs on all sides of the building, which under their current comprehensive sign plan would not allow. It also does not allow for box signs, so the T-Mobiles, so they will have to come back through for a comprehensive sign plan for that. They are also showing approximately 326 square feet of window signage, where the code limits window signage to no more than total 25 square feet or 20% of the window space, unless they come back through for a comprehensive sign plan. Staff finds that, if the commission is interested in allowing for the removal of the brick wall, that they should come back, they should provide landscaping along that frontage to match the existing development to the south, which Andy and I discussed last week, and he could provide those comments once we get but we would need a landscape plan for that. While the proposed development is not within the MC district, it does provide some standards in which we look at for all developments, which includes that the building should be oriented towards the main thoroughfare from which it is addressed. And this one is addressed along Strassner Road. And it also says that window signs should be limited or not allowed at all. Therefore, I think these are discussion items that the commission should have. I also feel like the brick wall provides some pedestrian level detail that is also recommended under the MC district, and the removal of that would be reducing the amount of interest along that facade. On a nice day, maybe customers want to sit outside while they're getting their phone serviced. So that is a discussion before the board. Therefore, I'm here to answer any questions. Yeah.
Yes, Commissioner Moore?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can you speak to, in general, the foot traffic that comes through one of these stores? I mean, I assume that there's a bill pay window and, of course, shopping, et cetera, but just give us an idea of what the frequency of the visitors are.
So all of the visitors are going to enter through the front door and then be led counterclockwise through the space. At least that's how T-Mobile has designed their fixtures, to line up in a way that guides the customer through. And then there's 4 tables in the back where the retail personnel will walk customers through their options. And while they're doing that, there's seating on the inside. And people can come and go as they please, but only through the one door, where all the associates would be able to keep an eye on the products and sit down with them as their name is called after they actually check in at a check-in desk at the front. It's not like a full desk, though. It's more like a table. They're going for a more open retail concept on these new stores. Does that answer your question?
If you don't mind me saying, not exactly. I was kind of probing. So the store opens at 10. Is there a line of people waiting to get in?
No.
No.
When
noon
usually,
is,
in my experience at least, if someone has something that they need from T-Mobile, they're going to know exactly what it is. They're going to wake up, they're going to look at their phone, and they're going to go to Google Maps and see that there's a T-Mobile, and they're going to drive up, and they're going to enter, they're going to get what they need, and they're going to leave. They're not going to be waiting in line for an hour, and this will be actually one of the larger stores where there will be less people convened at any one point.
I think that gets me partially there. Question for staff. Are any of those parking spaces that are in the center of the hotel, the new Mexican restaurant, and then this proposed retail store, are any of those restricted or reserved or designated?
Not that I'm aware of. So they would be available for the retail and the restaurant uses. There's additional parking for both within the structured garage just to the northwest of this area.
Part of the comprehensive sign plan that T-Mobile's consultant Stratus is going to present will have 4 designated parking spaces in that lot for T-Mobile, and that's all they expect to need, is 4.
So you're saying that that's already been arranged with the The owner of the property, the management to the property?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we know whether that knee wall was part of the original construction of the site or whether it was added for the
It's not. It
restaurant
was
use?
added in 2013, I believe.
Yeah, I did not look that up, so I don't know.
Okay. But it was added after the fact?
It was added, it was originally designed as a retail space and then converted into a restaurant, and that's when they added the smoking patio and the outdoor seating, yeah.
Did they change the elevations of the building before the existing building when they built that new wall out?
I do not know.
Okay.
Didn't look like from the street view images, didn't look like the brick wall actually tied all the way back to the facade.
It does not.
But my question was trying to get at, like, they didn't remove any elements from the wall when they bumped out and created the patio, right? I mean, why would they?
It looked like it was just additive.
Yeah.
I believe it was just added. If they changed anything, it was the mullions of the storefront to add 2 single doors.
They added the awning. And they started the interior demolition. But you can see that the brick wall, it was here.
And if I'm not mistaken, there's a existing T-Mobile store, like literally across the street. Is this replacing that store?
I do not know.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. I would assume so.
Okay.
Lowe's Center.
Because wasn't there one up by Chipotle and that one's gone?
One by
the
Qdoba.
Lowe's Center that was Maplewood.
I have some elevation questions, if I may. In your graphics, you've got the pink, the blue, and the black.
Yeah, okay, so those were our original signage intent drawings where the blue is no wrap, the black would be blacked out wrap where you don't see anything, and the magenta color would be their signage. And I know that it's much more than 25% of the individual window, so that is not compliant with the current signage package, but T-Mobile has a separate signage consultant, Stratus, that will be providing a compliance or variance submission with more appropriate graphics than those.
So looking at the floor plan and the interior-exterior relationships, you've got the 2 doors that are being replaced. So you're taking out the doors, the jamb mullions, that whole piece is going to be new glazing. Each one of those entries at the east and west end of the facade have steps that currently go up to those from the public sidewalk to a landing. Are those coming out as well?
Yes.
That and the wall?
Yes.
So that whole side. So then back to staff's accurate point of just engagement with the street pedestrians. On the east end of the building, you've got your inventory room, privacy pod, and a district manager office. All of those you're building inside the glass. Obviously, you need that for the inventory room. We could question if you could put the long axis against the demising wall on the inside between public and back of house. But so you're creating a condition where there's no possibility for vision glass except maybe that last little chunk of the corner. And actually, I think that's already, that's not, if it's spandrel, I'd have to go look at the pictures.
The back of house is secure, and T-Mobile doesn't want anyone to see inside of it.
Okay.
So whether or not those rooms are up against the glass or not, those windows are still going to be blacked out.
That's where, question for staff, if we're essentially making those into spandrel or glazed or blacked out or something, how does that interact with the sign ordinance?
The sign code doesn't really address if it's just all blacked out. It does address if the graphic is more than 25 square feet. So they would have to, where they're showing the pink is what he was indicating, that they would have 100% of the window signs, windows would be opaque and have graphics advertising.
That was the original intent.
Yeah.
Just- I'm sure you're going to address the concerns of having south-facing glass with a partition built on the inside with limited airflow and mold, but that's a whole different architectural conversation. So, at the west end where the seating area is being built, you showed that as black. Is there a reason that can't be vision glass? It's on the public floor.
So T-Mobile has standards for their interior retail fixtures that they use, where they require these things that they call portals that are butted up against walls. And because of the original design of the building and it's pretty much 360 windows, it's very difficult to fit all of the fixtures that they require of us into the space. So at least some of those windows had to be sacrificed as an area to place those fixtures. Where that area currently is also is a bathroom. So they're already kind of blacked out, but that's the past. We're talking about the future.
No like you've got in the center two bays, you've got the store fixtures pulled in to maintain the vision glass.
Yeah.
So there's no possibility of taking that FH200, it says above, but that pod, that back vertical piece, there's no potential to pull that forward and leave the same distance off the glass that you have in the center two bays to be able to allow that to be vision glass?
No, they need that to be up against a wall. It's part of the wiring and the television screen that they put up against it, and it has to be braced in a certain way.
So, I'm
Nowhere in a
sorry,
seismic zone, but that can be done.
where would the television screen would be facing out or facing interior?
Facing interior, yeah. It's just a nice area for people to sit.
My concern is we've got big, beautiful windows facing south. We're blocking them off.
Right.
Could we pull that in a couple of feet, leave some breathing
Sunlight coming
room?
into the building, yes.
We could submit a different test fit to T-Mobile and get their approval on that. It's possible.
If you held that 1'6" line with the other store fixtures where you've got cash drawer, et cetera, drawn in and pulled that forward, that would give us more opportunity for the vision glass in lieu of more spandrel glass.
Sure.
I think that would benefit that corner of the showroom. But I'm actually more interested in the impact on the street and just having that facade, at least that portion of the facade, more active, being able to see in. I understand the back of house stuff being secure.
Yeah. No, I think that's a fine design change that I can propose to T-Mobile. I think I should be able to move the portal as it is now to the wall on the west, and yeah, move those other two fixtures. It wouldn't be exactly how T-Mobile wants their fixture layout and their order of them, but if that's something that we have to do to accommodate the pedestrian viewage and maintain the glass, then we're for it.
Curious, I didn't open this in Bluebeam, so I didn't run a calc. You don't need a second means of egress from that retail floor?
No, the maximum egress distance from the back corner of the furthest area to the front door is 65 feet.
Don't have to run people through the back of house for a second egress.
No, not unless it's over 75 feet.
Thinking more about the occupancy load and the retail. The remoteness of exit is where you're getting to, so I'm good with that. All right. I'm not sealing them, you are.
Yeah, no, we've checked. It's compliant with code to remove the two exits.
I'm curious, what's T-Mobile's typical footprint, like 2,200?
Yeah, this is much bigger than a normal
Yeah.
T-Mobile. But it's a prime space.
Anyone else? Anyone online have any comments?
When all of the canopies and signage are removed, how are you going to patch the ephes?
It's just going to match the surrounding construction. So,
Patched, or are you gonna paint or redo the whole thing? It's never gonna get the patch to match.
well, that's for the construction manager to figure out, but
Design intent is a consistent finish on the
yes.
ephes.
Yes, that's the intent.
This is important.
Yeah, we don't want it to look like it was all patched and bandaged. We'll make it as
That it-
seamless as possible.
Acrylic stucco is the finish you're seeing. It will have faded. When they pull the anchors out, there's gonna be pock marks in the styrofoam and the acrylic stucco. If they just patch it, it's gonna look terrible. You're gonna have mismatched little pocks. So either they need to skim coat the whole thing or paint the whole thing, whatever the manufacturer patching instructions will be, to get a consistent finish for the ephes along the upper part of the building.
Our note says repair, patch, and paint affected surfaces of building as necessary. So yeah, we'll make sure that happens.
Okay, well, it sounds like we have some design things that need to be worked out, as well as some landscaping on the outside. I guess we would need a landscaping plan to see that, so I don't think we're gonna be able to have a vote on this tonight. So our next meeting is what day?
December 10th?
December 10th?
Yes.
Okay.
I heard there was a site committee subcommittee that meets before then. Could it go on that agenda?
Generally, there is a site plan subcommittee that meets on the last Wednesday of the month. However, that is the day before Thanksgiving. I will be out of town. Staff will also be out of town. It is the night before Thanksgiving, so.
Right.
So that would allow us to work internally. If you want us to get it, if you can get us a landscape plan, we can coordinate with Andy on that
Yeah.
review.
Should we work with Andy, or would?
Andy. Yeah,
Yeah.
Andy's our on-call landscape architect.
That's what I mean. Okay, so,
Okay.
okay, got it. Yeah, I was wondering.
He provides the review on behalf of staff, on behalf of the city.
Got it.
So,
Okay, didn't
yeah.
know. Okay. So if we do agree to get a landscape plan and make the design change that we just discussed, there's no way we can vote for approval as noted
I
Have to
think,
see the landscape plan.
first?
Yeah.
Okay.
sure. Do you,
Sure, yeah,
I mean, if you think it's,
yeah.
Whitney and I met out on site, and we were kind of talking about that, and our thought about what that planting might look like is probably worth having a discussion about, because you guys might not agree with that. But what we were thinking about is maybe low foundation plants and some columnar trees. The goal is, when you're out there kind of looking at that streetscape, is there's no trees there. And to try and get sort of trees on the side of the road to create a streetscape to fill that in. If you look farther west, there's trees in that space. They'd have to be columnar, though. They can't be the real deal. And I don't know if the petitioner's sensitive to how much of their sign, because we didn't really look at the sign and coordinate that. We just met on site. We might need to do smaller trees too. It's kind of up to them. But that's what we were visualizing when we were out there, is to maybe put some trees in there that were more columnar. So they should probably have a landscape architect look at that. It's a little bit tricky. It's narrow, so you're gonna have to get the right tree in there to do it. You just can't put any tree in there, and certainly not any Bradford pears. So
I would
And I don't know if that works with what you're trying to do either. I don't want to block your spandrel glass,
That's actually kind of the point. If we're, by looking at the south facade, if you look at the part that's black at the west, if that's going to become vision glass and be changed to the blue color, right there. So the one that's on the far left is black. If that becomes vision glass, now we've got interest going in those last 3 bays. The 2 bays that are pink, those would be the opportunities for landscaping that wouldn't be compromising a view in or out of the building. In fact, you'd be camouflaging the blank windows. And
So
if you
would-
did the second bay for a more, that'll be the widest spot that could have the tallest tree that wouldn't obscure signage in the second bay.
Do you want to keep the blue glass open then and no plants in front of it? I
would
mean,
say they are going to have store fixtures on the inside, so the low plantings probably are very appropriate.
okay. The other thing, whoever designs it could do is try and line it up on the brick columns, the trees. But I think, again, it has to be narrow, and if it's a narrower tree, and it's aligned on those brick columns, it might not block the glass. So I think that's why you kind of get,
Making notes. It's all good.
okay, that's fine.
And then I think removal of the paving and steps, and then just the groundscaping there. We should be fine.
Yeah, and then turf to the edge of the planting bed. That's probably what I need.
Want the narrow columnar trees on each brick piers or just the 3 piers in front of the pink areas?
Ideally, we'd like to have some rhythm established through the whole streetscape so it doesn't look like somebody took a few trees out, like you lost a tooth, if you could do that. Again, it's a little bit of a balancing act, but the idea is to, when you're driving down that street, heading west, that you see kind of a streetscape in there, if possible. Just to soften that building, because that building is like right on that street, and it needs a little bit of softening, so.
Shelton?
Can I ask a question of the petitioner, please? So, I guess, do you anticipate the signage to be part of next submittal? Because I guess, isn't that kind of what we're talking about too, and tying with the landscaping? If that port, because as it is now, those pink are signage. So that, I guess my request would be that that all be together, because that's going to determine maybe the landscaping portion of it as well.
Yeah, I think by next month, we should definitely be able to have that together in the same package.
Know when they might submit for the comprehensive sign plan? Because we haven't gotten anything, but we could still try to.
I think they were kind of waiting until tonight's
could
verdict.
fit- If we have to renotice it, so we would need it submitted soon, so we can notice it for the December 10th.
Okay, yeah, we'll get it submitted as soon as possible. And would that comprehensive sign plan, you're requesting that it just gets tacked onto this submittal as well?
Well, yeah, I mean, and I know you're not speaking for them, but it sounded like you were maybe referencing that they're going to request the variance to have that signage. So I think that is probably a larger discussion within, how is that?
I would think that's going to be a
Covered or-
large
Otherwise, you'll be
discussion.
back, right?
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, yep, we'll include it.
Okay. Anything else on this subject while we're here? Okay, well, it looks like do we need a motion to, okay. So do we have a motion to, not, to continue it?
Continue it to the
the-
December meeting.
I move to recommend to continue the discussion on the December 10th Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for additional review and recommendation.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, okay. Let's take a vote. Jeff Moore?
I move to continue the motion.
Yes. Lisa Shearing?
Yes.
Ryan Nolan?
Yeah.
Jeff Hunt?
Yes.
Jack Shelton?
Yes.
And Matt Foreman?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. We will see you back on December we say the 8th?
December
10th,
10th.
10th, okay, pardon me. December 10th, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next order of business, aldermanic report. I don't see any aldermen here. And how about our planning and development report?
So I've included the draft 2026 schedule for you within that, the packet. The only date really to note is the Planning and Zoning Commission for the November meeting is actually on Veterans Day, so we would either need to cancel that meeting or look for an alternate date. But if you could go ahead and mark your schedules so that we don't have quorum issues for any of the other meetings, that would be nice. And if you know that you'll be missing any, letting us know in advance is also good so that we can work around those times. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. And we've kind of changed this. Do we need a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All right.